Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Peter Igaga, and as always, I welcome you to your favorite show, the single show that lights up your Wednesday night. Now, tonight is a special show because we have one of the most popular social media gurus in Uganda. Afande, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Good to have you here.
It's a pleasure.
First of all, there are a lot of people online who've been asking for you, especially because of your engagement on social media.
Yes.
So I applaud you for that, because there are not too many people who can do that. But tonight we're not talking about social media. We are here at Inspire Africa Coffee, and we're going to be talking about men and childless marriages. Is it the women who are to blame? Because usually they are the ones who carry the blame. Or is it just the men who are putting too much responsibility on them? We'll let you decide. Don't forget, this is your show. I always say that. We want to talk to you. Let's get talking on Twitter, on Facebook. Our handles are right there on your screen. Even Afande's handle is right there. And let's get this conversation going. So, I'm going to dive into this. But Afande, I want to start with Banji. You know, he's our social behavior expert. Does he behave socially upright? I don't know. But that one we'll leave it to him. Now, Banji, as we will see, I caught up with Colin earlier today, and he gave us his views on this topic. The funny thing about Colin is he likes chicken, and I have found out where to find him. I'll let you know. So where there's chicken is where there's Colin. But before we get to that, there's always this thing about where childless marriages are concerned. Should the responsibility be shared? Or should it not be, should it be heaped on the woman? And I'll tell you why. A lot of men, when they're getting married, you see these things, the aunties blessing you with twins and quadruplets and sextets, everything. Now, when those twins and all that don't come along, who should get problems? Yes. So, should it be be handled jointly? Both parties take responsibility, or should it be the responsible party to literally bear the brunt of it?
I think you've answered your own question, because when you look at the structure of the Ugandan society, it's normally the man who is in power, and we have always said this, it is a patriarchal society. So normally, when the man is finding solutions for being childless in his marriage, he would normally start from the wife. But also the other issue is about how society constructs the biological man. Because most of us, we believe, most communities would believe that if a man can get to business, then he is good to go. Okay, so they forget that there are men who can go into business, but actually they fire blanks. So if it is that kind of man, then the responsibility will be put on. Afande, I'm not talking about the gun, but the other firing. So, and that is why you would find that when you get married and you take maybe 6 months or a year without having children or signs of pregnancy in the woman, the aunties, the brothers would start bringing you other women to try yourself, because they would think that it is the woman who is not really biologically fit to have children. So traditionally it has been that side, but now with the advancement of medical technology, that we can be able to precisely point where the problem is, now it is increasingly becoming a shared responsibility. So now the investigations now can go on both sides. Because the method of investigation in the traditional sense was a bit crude. Because if the woman did not get pregnant, then they would ask the man to marry a second woman and the third. So if 3, 4 women could not be pregnant, then they would say, I think the problem is with the man.
It's the family. They're bewitched. The family.
So it's a challenge. But I think that in a modern society, it should be a shared responsibility, actually.
Okay. Afande, on your side, before we went on air, we had a brief chat. And ideally, the responsibility and also the choice on whether to or not have children lies on the woman. Because if she decides she's not having children, she will not have them. So why shouldn't she also then take responsibility or the blame, for that matter, when she can't have children?
I think you chose your words to say responsibility and choice. In a marriage, I'm married. And I believe that in a marriage, it's an institution that you're going to reach consensus on some issues.
Yeah.
And you know, a marriage that is going to stand the test of time, you must be communicating. Okay? If it is a choice, okay, let it be a choice between the two. Because for me, I know that one of the basic responsibilities of, the institution of marriage is about having a family, is about having children. Now, if one of them is going to have a choice that maybe I'm undertaking studies, I will not be able to have children in 2 or 3 or 4 years, why don't you discuss it? And then you will not be able now to start, apportioning blame on whether it is the man or the woman. Responsibility, I think there are so many other reasons as to why maybe my wife or a lady is not having children. So you cannot put it squarely on the woman. I think I want to agree with him that this now becomes a shared responsibility. In the meantime, until there is probably a scientific reason as to what went wrong. So I wouldn't wish now to start, blaming the woman that, you chose this, because if she chose it, then we would be able to discuss it. I think that is my take on that.
Okay, but traditionally, especially when the children do well, say, "Oh yeah, you're bright like your father." When you fail, you're stupid like your mother.
Yes.
Now, there are a lot of things from our traditional African society which we have started shedding. But did it have a place, especially in a patriarchal society, where basically, even if the child was stupid, it was because the mother was not helping the child to study and and get to where they're supposed to go?
Peter, I agree. The kind of patriotic society that we have would put the blame on the woman. Okay, some of us are born from the 60s, so we've been able to see that happen in our societies. That quite often, that when there is a childless marriage, because of this kind of patriarchal marriages, they are going to blame the women. But hey, this is the 21st century. This is a century where you're going to be able to find out what could have gone wrong. Okay? And yes, because the blame game is the one that brings about problems within families. Look, I come from the police. And most of the issues, by the way, I tell you the truth that probably more than 50% of the cases that we are getting, whether it is theft, whether it is domestic violence, whether it's from the home setup. Okay? Whether it is street children, why are they there? It is always on the home setup. So we must now be able to transcend from the issue of this blame. It must be the woman. If the child is not coming, then it is the woman. If the child is stupid, then it is the woman. And if the child is okay, I think I saw this child. This child was going to be like the father. No, we can't afford to do that.
We need to move on from that.
Yes.
The one and only Jaluo. Would you prefer to have a stupid child, one who's stupid like their mother, or no child at all?
I don't know why you asked me that. But there's research that stipulates that the wits actually come from the mom's side. The wits.
The what?
The wits. The wits. The wits actually come from the intelligence comes from the mom's side. But in regards to stigma, the stigma is real, and I can tell you a personal story of I remember when I was working where I worked, Sanyo FM, and I remember there was this accountant that kept insisting, Stefan, you've been in a relationship for a very long time. Where is the kid? At first, it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me. I never really thought about it. But when she kept insisting, every time I would see her, she'd talk about the same thing. It started affecting me, you know. I was like, you know, it boils down to our society. A man is defined by the children, which is, you know, which is wrong right now when you look at it. But, you know, most of the men that you talk to from the lowest level to the highest level will define themselves with the children they have. You know, they'll say, I have this number of kids, and when I got a son, it feels good. You know, people, you know, and people will say that now you're a man, and the blame game will always be apportioned to the lady because of mainly what you guys are saying, a manly society. You know, it's easier for us to blame the women. It's you who's not giving me kids. But most of the time, actually, when research stipulates that most of the time, 60% of the time, the problem is with the man.
Yeah, but you've just mentioned something very interesting. Were you happy about the fact that you had a child, or it was rubber stamped that you're a man?
You know, we are egocentric beings. We are conditioned to be egocentric beings. So you need to be a man. And the only way society will stamp you as a man wrongly is that when you have children.
Igaga, let me pick from Jalu. And Afande, you will forgive me because I'm going to use the word evidence.
Yes.
In our society, the evidence that there will be children in a marriage is seen from the woman, not from the man. Because if you get married and after 3-4 months, the woman begins growing, you know, around the belly, then the evidence is showing that this marriage is going to have children. So once a time passes, 6 months or a year, and the woman is not changing in the physical appearance, then because she's the one they will begin with, why are you not getting pregnant? Why are you not growing fat? How come you are not changing? Is there anything? They will not ask the man. Actually, they will come to the man after like maybe 2-3 years. That you, man, are you just joking in the bedroom or you are doing some work? So because of the social evidence, it becomes easier.
I'm in trouble.
It becomes easier for us to point to, for society to point to the what? To the woman and say, why are you not getting pregnant? Where are the children? That's one. The second issue I wanted to pick from the conversation we have so far had is, what is the purpose of the marriage? Because in our setting, again, in our Ugandan setting, I think the biggest role of marriage is to have children. We are, at the moment, we are not like whites who can just marry to have company, for companionship.
For what?
For us, that is like, it's a secondary purpose. But the main purpose is really for us to have children, expand the clan. And you know, children for us in Africa also have an economic value, apart from the social value. They have the economic value. In the farmland, they will help you on the farm. In Kampala, where they will get jobs, then you expect that when they have jobs and you are broke, you can give them a call. So it's this dynamic of combining social as well as economic arguments to put the pressure on the woman. But also thirdly and finally, is that putting the pressure on the woman, I think, on the part of the society is some kind of being ignorant on the biological functioning, because the woman does not impregnate herself. There has to be a functional man to make her pregnant. So there is some kind of ignorance on that part, especially of some people who don't know how these things work.
But could it just be not ignorance per se? Because there's, at the end of the day, as a man, you know if you're firing blanks or if you're not. Just that maybe you'll not be ready to have that conversation with your wife. Don't answer that. Now, we are here at Inspire Africa Coffee, enjoying some of the best coffee actually in Kampala. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. And when we get back, you will see my conversation with Colin, the controversial Colin, about this topic.
But Peter, dude, that's how guys get killed. So
you're here again.
You've decided to waylay me outside the Chicken Express.
Well, I'll tell you what.
What is this?
Last time I came in, I found you over there. This time I said, well, he's not getting in. I'm going to wait.
I'm not getting in?
Yeah.
So this is how I end up not eating my saucy chicken drumsticks.
Well, the last time you came, you cleared everything because they were that good.
Yes.
So I said, this time I'm going to save Chicken Express.
Do you know what they say in
from
Uganda?
you?
On this, I will be sentence hangi.
Good
Tell
to see
me,
you, bro.
how have you been?
Super. Once
Yes.
again, you are back in my city.
I am back in
You
your
know,
city.
I run this town. As you can see.
You're a recent appointee.
Yeah.
We've been children of these streets
But
for a long time.
We're still owning it. If you go ask these guys in the taxi over there who I am, tell them, say my name.
Do they know
They
who you
will
are?
say it. They will definitely say it. But anyway, come on.
Tell me.
Have you seen the special these guys have?
So Peter, these specials you're telling me.
Now, let me tell you one thing. One of the things that I like about specials is they are only found in one place, and that's a Chicken Express.
Peter, you just like deals. That's how you've been. All the time, by the way, guys, Peter, all the time I've known you,
Who doesn't want a deal?
you're always looking for deals.
Because everybody's looking for deals.
Okay. Speaking about bad deals,
Yes, speaking about bad deals. Now, there are some men who meet a woman, they've got great expectations. One of the things they say is, because you know at a lot of weddings they say, okay, may you be blessed with twins, may you be blessed with all that. Then there are no children in the marriage. Then a guy starts saying, this was a bad deal. But my question is it always the women to blame? Because we know sometimes the problem is the man.
yes.
But why don't men stand up and take responsibility and say, all right, so fair enough, we don't have any children. Let's look at options. Can we look at adoption? Can we look at stuff? Why does it always have to be, this woman?
So I think that you always have to. Today's society wasn't born today. It was evolved from where we came from, where we started out.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, because of the breakdown of roles in that society, the men provided. They provided for that society. So they provided food. They went out hunting. They protected. They ensured that the community sort of was protected from invaders, marauders, animals. Yes, and they were sort of de facto, because of their physical difference and strength, they were seen as the leaders of those communities.
Yeah.
That's not to say communities like in Benin or Ghana, where they had matriarchs. So do you know that if you live here and you go to Ghana and you have a child, the child will take a mother's name, and the court will never give you custody of the child because it's a matrilineal society.
Wow.
There are a couple of societies like that, and ancient Africa had a lot of them. But today, the way it's set up is, and again, remember that we are only 2 generations removed from illiteracy and bush living.
Yeah,
Literally,
yeah.
it's your dad and your dad's father. That's how you're only 2 generations away from that life.
Yeah.
So many times we talk about how far we've come, how civilized we are, but we must remind people of the realities of society. That's how far, your dad's grandfather lived in a hut. He lived in this society.
Yeah.
And so in that society, then it fell, because of the natural ability for women to have children, it fell to them to sort of take care of this role and raise and nurture and sort of pass on the cultural values.
Yeah.
And that's how it's remained for a long time. A lot of feminists will tell you, but women should have the right whether to have children or not, and that's fine. That's perfectly valid.
But really, it's their choice at the end of the day.
Yes, they should have the choice.
No, but they still choose. If a woman now want to have your child, she's not going to have it.
Yes, but in a marriage where you have agreed to have children, there should be an investigation as to what the issues are. But what do we know? What's happening now for young women? A lot more young women are being discovered to have fibroids and cysts in the intrauterine walls, in their ovaries, the fallopian tubes, a lot more.
Yeah.
There's a higher risk of catching cancer today in younger women than in older women.
Correct.
Also, because if you think about the lifestyles that men are living, so people are smoking more, which affects sort of vein, the size of veins and its ability to pass blood. Yeah. So you have a lot more young men, smoking or drinking alcohol or just living unhealthy lifestyles, sedentary lifestyles.
Yeah.
So you have erectile dysfunction, you have very high sperm morbidity. So the sperm works, but it can only last for 24 hours. Whereas normal guys who eat chinyewa and power bank. In fact, I saw a guy selling a power bank. Those guys, Those guys, there's guys can swim for 72 hours.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that it's on both sides. There are guys who are living poor lifestyles,
Yeah.
and so they are just not doing the work. But the guys who are doing the work, and there are issues
Like you clearly, you've cut down, man. You're one of those guys.
Peter, don't envy me. I did not start eating power bank until I was in my mid-30s.
Yeah.
No, but I think that on both sides, yes.
Yeah.
And the thing, the challenge then becomes how to deal with it. But yeah, that's something we might talk about.
Well, but I'll tell you what. For me, what pains me is the fact that a lot of men are not looking at it as in, okay, this is a problem that can be either way, and even if it is the woman's issue, because I don't like calling it a problem, what are the solutions? How do we get it sorted out?
But Peter, let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much I love you. Or how much you love me. If I say I want an egg today, you will not lay it.
Yeah.
So there are certain things. It doesn't matter how much she loves you. If she can't have a child, she can't have a child. And
Which is a fact.
The first thing I think the step is to admit this is the problem, this is where we are.
Yes.
That's the first step.
Yeah.
Admitting that then allows us to then say, are we okay with A, surrogacy plan? B, and now the science makes it possible. So are you okay with A, the surrogacy plan?
Yeah.
B, are you okay with us finding someone? So in our cultures, they would probably give you a sister.
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah,
a wife's sister, and they'd say, bear for us a child.
But nowadays that
It's in the Bible. Abraham.
Yeah,
Rachel gave Abraham a sister.
that was
What are you
then.
talking
Right
about?
right now. I mean, okay.
So yes, I agree.
How
I
many
agree.
women will accept that?
But you see, when you're in that position, you can't be a beggar and a chooser. But these are the options that are on the table. 3, you go for IVF fertilization. 4, you have sperm harvesting. So the options exist, I think. But the biggest challenge is for the couple to say,
we are ready for it.
no, okay, this is not happening. There are no children. Or let me tell you, there are people who marry and she says, I never want to have children.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And remember that on top of the internal expectations, there is family, there's relatives. Oh my God, every week, hey, you're not pregnant. You're just there eating our son's food.
No, do you remember? Do you remember when we talked about the influence that the family has on the family?
Yes.
Now, usually the pressure actually, most dudes are okay with it, right? But then when somebody keeps telling you the same thing, first of all, the usual thing they're told is that woman doesn't want to give you a child.
Yes.
Then they start fighting, especially mothers are the ones who get involved.
Yes.
Then they start saying, oh, you know what? Then they start talking to your brothers. Say, talk to your brother.
Yes.
Get him another woman and all that kind of stuff.
Yes. And then the family introduces someone who's younger and fertile.
Yes.
But you see, if you're the heir of the clan and the name of the clan depends on you, you can't have this foolishness. So there is the values we have as individuals, but then there's the fact that we live in a society, we live for other people.
Are you then condoning it?
I'm an only son. I'm a firstborn, I'm an only son. I'm the last of the line. If by misfortune I was in that situation, how would I go and look at my ancestors?
Your ancestors would not mind, okay? Because when they see where you have come from and where you are going, they'll know that your sisters have children. If I may take the English monarchy for that, there was that provision, it was there. If whatever happened, because you see, all right, fair enough, you can have children, you can even have 10 kids. Something can happen, they're all wiped out.
Yes.
Then?
Yes. At that point,
it's the same thing.
No. But what you're saying is, you having the children and them dying is different from you saying, I married this person, we are not having children, I'm okay with that. Because
still no children
throughout
in the
the
picture.
history of mankind, men and women have collaborated, combined to beat back disease, bad weather, poor habitation, fight of animals, fight of invaders.
Yes.
So that we can procreate and continue to dominate the earth. This is you giving up. This is you going against every evolutionary instinct.
No, but let me tell you what. Okay, what about then those people who get kids and all the kids are idiots? Same problem. You're as good as having not had them. You see,
Peter, you think that having a stupid child is bad?
Yes, it is a bad thing.
No.
It is a bad thing. But
I know people who have stupid children all the time. We went to school with them.
Yes, but you see, that's my point.
It's
I
okay.
also know people who have a massive wealth and none of their kids is fit to carry that on to the next level.
That's okay. But remember that children are a blessing. Children are a blessing.
True, but you can still be blessed without children.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I don't tell me people don't have
So
children.
you're saying
are not blessed.
you have wealth, you have access, and you have a stupid child, and you have no child, and you're the same?
Yeah.
No.
Because that stupid
I mean,
child
do
is
you
of
know
no
how
value
much
too.
love parents who have disabled children or Down syndrome have that love?
That is my point exactly. That
But
is
that's
different.
what
But you see,
I'm saying
you love
a child
unconditionally.
is an invaluable gift. And you can never ever say to someone who wants a child that having no child is the same as having a stupid child, or having a child.
You know what the problem with what you're saying is? That's when now people end up in Mulago and stealing people's children. Because they're under so much pressure, they're saying, no, my life will never be the same.
That's
I
fine.
have to come back with a child.
Let me tell you, if it's important enough to you to go and steal a child, you do what you need.
No.
Yes.
Nope.
Yes.
No.
People
It's
on
not
this
yours.
Street, people on this street here. People on this. How many times have you been in a taxi and the guy didn't give you the right change? That's just life. Life sucks. That's how we live. Occasionally, someone's gonna steal your baby. The job is for the police to catch those people.
You know what? I think you need to eat.
No.
Okay. Okay. And then
We can't moralize the society. We can't fix what's wrong or right.
yes.
But what we can do, I think that the power, people need to know, you must do what you need to do. So if my father left me the imperative to procreate the line, homie, we are going to do whatever is necessary to get an heir. If you think I'm lying, you ask a famous king who's living in our time.
I'll tell you what. My greatest challenge with that is you have just stood here on Kampala Road and justified stealing babies.
No, that's what we're talking about.
Because you see,
we're saying childless marriages.
Yes,
and we're saying
a childless
once you
marriage
admit-
can exist. It can exist.
So it can exist if we're both fine with it.
No, you've just said life is not fair. All right?
It's not fair. That's
So
true.
you don't have to be fine. It is this is the
I come here
situation
to Chicken Express,
that you
I
are
eat
presented
chicken every
with.
time I'm in town.
Yes.
Is that fair?
There's somebody who can't do it. Does it mean you're better off than them?
We are not equal.
My point exactly.
So-
There's some people who have childless marriages and it's okay.
It's not okay.
It is okay.
There's nothing okay about it. If one of those people wants a child, it's not a marriage.
Let's ask this guy.
It's an
So,
enslavement.
Jangu,
Sema soko je nkubuuzeko ekibuuzo bakwitani kayizi njagala kubuuza oyina omukazi oyina omukyaleka okay kino ekibuuzo bakitaata example oyina muganda wo n'awasa omukyala n'asanga nti omukyala tayinza kuzaala omuwa advice ki kubanga ono omuganda wange aŋŋamba nti oyo omusajja ayinza okuba naye musanyu mu ddembe. They can be happy. Njagala oŋŋambe.
why not?
Azaala.
No.
Twera nnyo Kayizi. Have a good evening.
Kale so.
Peter, that guy was not paid.
Yes, but you see, that is now the problem that we're dealing with.
The common man on the street.
I get that, okay? But you see, at the end of the day, my greatest problem is, this is the thinking, okay? And it's always the woman who gets the stick. The guys, it doesn't matter. The first thing that's said is, you know what? Get him another wife. Nobody tells, and if it's the problems with the guy, how many women are told, get another husband?
So let me, I'm going to say this in a humble way. Men face a lot of challenges in the world. Mm-hmm. Sometimes a woman will intentionally, and the examples of this in our time, in the media today, of women who won't tell the man that you're impotent. They'll just go and find a guy and have children with him.
True.
Yes?
Yeah.
Because they're saving you from the crushing
embarrassment.
defeat of what that does to a man.
Yeah.
So sometimes someone will love you enough to do that.
That's not love.
Because you live for 30 years, you've never checked. You raise these children, you pay their fees. You find out after 30 years that you are impotent. Would you have been driven? Would you have worked as hard? Would you have saved? So I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's so there's a cultural problem where women are the first to be blamed.
Yes.
And that's something I think that we must fix. But I think that in today's time and age, we test everyone. If the couple isn't having children, you both of you go and you both of you get tested. There's no things of you go, tell us what you find.
The reality is not very many men are willing to do that. And just as you've seen our friend Kain's said, of course, everybody assumes the problem is with the woman.
Yes.
However, this discussion will go on with the rest of the guys. Again, I'm going to tell them I found you here. But first and foremost, let's go get you something to eat.
I want chicken.
Yes.
Like, I don't even care what you tell anyone else. Do you know how I was sneaking in here? I was like, I must sneak in here before Peter catches me so
and
that I can, now you caught me.
Cool. Let's go and
get some chicken.
Let's get some chicken. Okay. Welcome back from the break. In case you've just joined us, tonight we are at Inspire Africa Coffee, enjoying some of the best coffee in this town. And one of the things that we find inspiring about it is that it's a very youthful outfit. And you know, we've been talking about youth employment, and they're actually doing that. But back to the issue of youth, Afande. There are some men who have issues, but they cannot be able to talk about them. So they get married, they know very well that they are not functioning, but they just go with the flow. Because just as Stefan has told us, he was very excited. I think he was doubting himself at some point.
You know,
but when he...
at one point, I actually doubted myself.
Yeah. So is getting children just a justification of manhood?
Before you go to that, I think we've transcended from that kind of society where, you know, a lot of pressure, you know, from relatives, you know, from the clan would impinge a lot of pressure on the man, on this young man who's gone into a relationship, and then they're asking, you know, why are you not getting a child? What could be the problem? But I think as I've said, we've transcended that into a society now where you have peers, you know, and you know, you can Peter and Banji and Jaruo and say, guys, look here, I seem to have a problem. How do you advise me? Because for me, I think one of the other issues that we need to start thinking about is the kind of pressure society puts on you. And I think it creates a lot of problems because, you know, your mind is not stable, and you say, could I be having a problem? Don't I have time for my wife? Don't I, you know? So we have pressures, but we have also technology where you can, for example, go down, you know, Mr. Google, you know,
and ask questions.
Don't answer him. You know, I'm sorry about that. But you know, you can go online and find out, you know, a subject. You know, try to find out. Now, let me say this: we should reach also at a certain stage in time where we should not be shy about talking our problems, sorting them, whether it is with your wife, whether it is with whatever, so that you'll be able to sort out this. Because for me, I know so many people taking their lives, so many marriages getting broken because, you know, this, because you cannot meet even the relatives of this woman because of that and that. You even fear to go home because they are going to ask you, but you guys, you went to Kampala, what are you eating? You know, and that kind of thing. So we should be able to transcend those stereotypes and be able to,
and be firm about it.
Yes.
Banji. Yes. Is it okay then for a man to pre-test Jaribu, to find out whether things are working?
You should Jaribu.
To find out whether he can have children or whether he's a man in the African sense. Because let us look at it this way. The way society is changing, there are people who decide not to have children. You married to a career woman, or you yourself, you're a career man, and you don't stay in the same house with the woman. Maybe you meet once a year, or even once in 2 years, or maybe. So you are distance apart, or you decide to say, I first need to pursue this career. So time catches up with you, and the society thinks you are not having children. So basically that takes us to what we call voluntary childless marriages. They decided not to. And that's where I found they brought in the issue of education. Either the woman or the man, they are studying, they want first to do that master's, or their job requires that for the first 2-3 years you don't marry because you are traveling a lot. So the children might delay, and the people outside your workplace may not understand. So, but that one, there has been communication between the two, the husband and the wife. Then there is this other one which is involuntary, especially the biological one, which is normally a problem, a medical problem. And this is where communication again needs to come in, because we need to medically, if you've been, enjoying you as a couple for 6 months, at least twice a week, and there is no evidence of pregnancy, then there is a problem. Medically, at least, although they normally give up to a year, that if you've taken a year and you are together, yes, so then there is a problem. And normally, because when you go to the facility, the medical facility, the doctors, they don't actually say the woman. They investigate both the man and the woman, because they are investigations for both the man and the woman. And that one helps you to come up with where the problem is and how you are likely to fix it. But where the challenge comes is when again the man can, I find again, you forgive me, can salute, but where the man can work, where the man can work, can function, he can function, he can enjoy himself with his wife, but back to what I said at the beginning, he fires blanks. Okay, and by the way, there are even some men who know that they are firing blanks. The man knows that he's firing blanks. He marries this woman, he doesn't tell her. The woman runs around all the health facilities in town trying to find out where the problem is, and everywhere they tell her that she's okay, and the man keeps quiet. There are these kind of men who are there, but I would think that is selfishness. So the whole idea should be basically on understanding the basics about why are we being childless. Is it a choice, or is it a biological issue, and then you'll be able to fix it.
I'm going to ask you a personal question. Can you survive a childless marriage?
I cannot survive a childless marriage because of societal expectations, your partner's expectations. Maybe if you got into the relationship with that mindset that we're not going to have children, but in an African setting,
but
where
aren't the children meant to be a product of the relationship, not a relationship the product of the children?
Children are meant to be a product of the relationship.
Yeah. So the relationship is there regardless of whether they're children or not.
Society will always look differently at a couple that is childless, and it affects them. The moment you get married in Africa, people are always looking at your wife to see if there's a bump, and it's too much pressure. But it all boils down to to how we were raised. In African settings, whenever there's a problem, people always think it's witchcraft. It's witchcraft. And I've talked about this in a different forum, where you can actually tell. There are telltale signs, things that you can note, especially when you have a boy child. Small things that you can tell that this kid is having problems with his genitalia, and you can rectify it at a very young age. He mentioned something about, he said that there are some men who get into relationships knowing that they're shooting blanks. But most of the time, most of these guys are just living by chance. They don't know if they can actually produce. Maybe they tried and it didn't work out, and they assume that it's something to do with them. But it might be the women you're dating somehow are also not, So people need to get rid of the ignorance. You need to step into these hospitals and find out
Also is good.
Yeah.
But Igaga, you asked the question maybe.
Yeah.
You asked, should marriage really be about children? Shouldn't the children be a product, a byproduct of marriage?
Yeah.
In fact, we've seen situations in Uganda where if a man, for instance, you reach 35 and you're not married, and people begin whispering that, you see, this man is single because the department down there has no electricity. So even when you are single, they're already pointing at you for having a problem.
Yeah.
And for a woman, when she, because in Uganda we have what we call a social time.
Yaka.
Yes, there's no yaka. Yes, I find.
No, there's no yaka.
Yes, in Uganda we have a social time. For instance, people say that after university, they expect girls to get married immediately after university. For the boys, they may expect you to first start working. Then by the time you're around 20, 28, they expect you to be married and start having children. Yeah. So once you don't follow the social clock that we have determined here in Uganda, then people begin saying
that things are,
yes.
There's no yaka.
And you see, the other thing that society needs to understand is that our parents probably had 5, 6, 10 of us. But for us, we are choosing, many of our generation are choosing to have 1 or 2. Yeah. So we could be married at 25, but we want to have our child at 30. So we are 4 years into marriage, there is no child, and there is basically no problem.
But that's impossible. It's 25.
It's a choice. It's a choice. It's possible. Yeah. So for us in Africa,
just keep throwing
children are the ultimate goal of a marriage. Yeah. In most cases. That's why when there are no children, then people begin asking questions. And then you said, can the marriage survive without children? My response to that is that it depends. It depends on the attitude of both of you in that marriage. Because you could be childless, but you know the cause, it is fixable, and you are working on fixing it. You have understood it. You could be childless, and you choose that for us we shall stay childless. Let us move on like this. So it actually depends on that.
And also it depends on the society you come from. Yeah. Depends on in our African society, there is no way you can survive a relationship without kids.
I'll tell you what. Now, okay, we've reached that point where we do need to actually wrap up. So I'm going to ask you for your parting shot, right. And I'm hoping that will be part of it. But something to think about. Fair enough. There's societal pressure and all that stuff. Does the society feed your children?
They don't feed my children.
Your parting shot.
But you know, I've said this before. Different societies have different rules of engagement. Whether you like it or not, we are in Africa. You will be defined by your children. They'll define, and you know, the pressures eventually, they'll boil down, and you will have to get a kid. But you know, at the end of the day, ignorance. Most of the panelists here say mentioned ignorance. We're in the 21st century. We have Google.
Mr. Google.
Mr. Google. There should be no excuse. Blaming the woman is just cheap. Men need to step in these facilities, and they're actually there. And before you point fingers, find out. You don't need to tell, if you're scared, don't need to tell your partner. Walk into this place and find out. And there are small things. If you have young boys, for example, there are certain things that you can check, and you can rectify some of these things at a very early age.
Which things are these?
Some of these things. Check his testicles. Are they there? Are they there? You know, like, are they moving? Like, you know, like, yeah, read about this. For example, if one of the testicles keeps coming up, take him to hospital. It's just ignorance. You don't, whenever there's a problem with this, the problem we have in Africa is whenever there's a problem, people always resort to you're taking a kid to some witch doctors and whatnot. Enter these places and find out before apportioning blame. Simple as that.
Cool. Banji, your parting shot as we wrap up.
I have kept emphasizing that, at least for us in Africa, children are a big deal. They're a big deal because of so many reasons. Our care system is that when you are old, you expect your children to take the responsibility. That's why we break our backs to look after these kids. So it becomes a big deal on your part, but as well as part of society. However, I want to emphasize what Jalo has said. Let us move beyond the ignorance of blaming the woman. Okay? And actually, also the women should also not blame themselves, but also they shouldn't blame the man. Because you cannot blame without knowing the cause. I think the beginning point is when you realize that children are not coming and you want them, you have been pursuing the goal of having children, and they are not coming, then you need to go and investigate. Now, the challenge we have, again, as Jalo has said, people want to go to traditional healers, herbalists. They don't really scientifically tell you what the problem is. So can we go for modern medicine where they will pinpoint where the problem is? The other point I want to make is that if your marriage is childless, I think the most important tool you need is support from each other. Support. Because you will get questions. You are likely to get questions from the woman's side, from the man's side, and it is kind of a shameful disease that most couples don't want to talk about. So they will suffer quietly with it. So the most important thing is support. You support each other as you move forward. And then finally is that sometimes it's not about children. Okay? If God has made you that way, then enjoy yourself. Enjoy your life. It's
cheaper. Children are
yes,
expensive.
People tend to say, now I'm going to kill myself because I don't have children. No. But God gave you life. Enjoy your life to the fullest.
You can adopt.
And actually, children, you can have what we call social children. Your brothers, uncles, cousins are suffering with children. Help them, support them. Because the children is not about the blood. It's about the bonds that we build. So if you build a bond with a child, of a brother or a sister over 20, 30 years, there is a likelihood that this child will feel that they are your child and you will enjoy the benefits of raising a social child.
Yeah. Great stuff. Afande, your parting shot.
I think my parting shot is is about marriage being an institution. It's a social function. It's a social institution. It's not like in chemistry where you say if you mix this and you mix this, you get this and that kind of thing. You go into marriage and you're going to have children. You may not have children. My mother had 10 of us and all of us were boys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10.
No girl.
No girl. And some other 2 girls came at the end, that kind of thing. Yeah. And so, you are going to have girls, or you are not going to have children. Actually, now we're talking about a marriage where you get into and you're not going to have children, okay? Or you are going, because you asked the question, is it about the children or... I think what is important, as he has said, why do we get married? It's love. Because you love somebody. You feel you want to stay with somebody. Come what may, okay? Whatever happens, what brings you together, the bond. Yeah. Now, it's because we don't respect this that people, first of all, go into some relationships before the marriage to find out if the woman is going to have children, and if they are going to have children, if she's going to have a child, then we can now begin arranging, for this, for that. I think we're living even our cultural values. Okay, to me, I think we should accept that in a relationship, some of these things are going to happen. I want to agree with him, find out what could be the cause. If you decide not to have children at a particular time, discuss about it. It's about you. Yeah. It's not about society. Okay? Society is important, but first and foremost, it's about you. This blame game, it is so and so, it is so and so, it is going to impinge a lot of pressure on you, it's going to have effect on your life, it's going to have effect on your finances, it is going to have effect on your friends, it is going to have effect on your work. And lastly, my parting shot, I supervise an office called Child and Family Protection Office, CFPU. Every police station you go to, there is a CFPO, a Child and Family Protection Officer.
Yeah.
Just go in there. I mean, our work, 80% is consumed by, you know, families coming at the police stations, you know, this and that about a woman, about, you know, what, because of children, because of property, and all these issues about property, about whatever, is because of the children. I think let's go back to what Banja has said. This is very good professional advice. And I may not have the children, but I have emotional stability, you know, with my wife. And we can be able to have so many other things that we can be able to have.
Yes.
Okay? And we can even go for medical examination. We can even go for whatever. We can have children wherever, I mean, when they come and that kind of thing. It's not a matter of life and death. You just go to a banana plantation or maybe a coffee plantation, you find a man hanging, you know, because, he's, you know, he's hanging because everybody's saying he's a failure, he's whatever. I think as men, we should be able to say, yes, we went into this relationship, and if it happened this way, then I'm going to respect my wife. I'm going to, it could be you, it could be her, okay? If you find out it is you, please, the woman, don't again say, I'm leaving, I didn't know I was coming to a man who cannot give me the children. I mean, it could have been you. So the man is not also going to say, no, go, I want to get. I mean, that's what God planned for you. Personally, I think that's how we are going to keep our society devoid of these problems that we have, crime and social evils that we have. Yes.
All right. Well, we're out of time. We're out of time. But unless you can see it in half a second.
There's something about lifestyle that you have not mentioned. Your lifestyle could determine whether you're having kids or not having kids. You might be drinking
alcohol,
too much, drugs, and that might be the reason. Change your lifestyle and see what happens.
Yeah, that's important.
Great stuff. All right, you've heard it from the men here at Inspire Africa Coffee. We're enjoying some of the best coffee in town. And with those few words, as a lot of politicians say, we have to call it a night. Mine is very simple. I believe that children are a product of a marriage, and not the marriage is the product of the children. So whether you've got children or not, first of all, children are very expensive. So it might be saving you quite a bit of money. And there are lots of children out there who need to be, who need love, who can be adopted. And we are going to have a session on that about adoption. I can go on until the cows come home. So have a good night, take care of yourselves, and we will see you next Wednesday only on NTV.